Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coach Love Explores. Not many women, not many people can pull out off a title like, Saved by Grace, Haunted by Suicide. Not many people can pull that off, but Miss Tenelle Thomas, also known as Queen T, has quite the story to tell. So I cannot wait for her to join us. Here she is. Hello, Miss Tenille Thomas.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello. How are you guys doing this evening? I am doing wonderful.
That is, I have to say, I love your hair.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's
So,
definitely the fun summertime hairdo.
okay,
Definitely, and it's always got to be blonde, always.
there you go.
So I'm
So,
like trying to get them all together because it's like a little bit different for me with the summer.
okay, I
But
love it.
yes, how are you, Coach?
I'm doing great. So you got this crazy
Thank you.
title, Hunted by Suicide,
Hmm.
Saved by Grace. What does that mean?
Yes. Well, the title came by the reasoning of a lot of times people feel like when people are suicidal or they have suicidal ideations that they're sad, they're mopey. When they see them, maybe they're not at their greatest. However, for
Mm-hmm.
me, a lot of times um, that I was dealing with my depression and my anxiety, um, I was thriving while I was dying internally. And so when I say that, that goes along with our title because on the outside, on the exterior, so many people saw me with joy. They saw me with a smile on my face. Um, I felt like I was constantly perfecting being seen perfectly, basically, so that I could cover up and, be to myself when I went inside and dealt with my depression. So,
So let's get right into it because I remember one of the your suicide attempts happened right before you went on stage in a pageant. Tell me about this. Or after, right after.
well, so the last time before this, I recently just competed in Miss Plus World, where
Okay.
I actually won third runner up with 37
Hmm.
countries. And I had previously retired several years before that because I wanted to deal with myself. So in 2000, I believe 2012, I retired and I said I wasn't going to compete anymore. And in that particular
Hmm.
year, actually 2014, in that year I had decided I was going to retire, and that is when I had my last attempt um, on my own life, basically. And so I was very depressed, I was overwhelmed, I had a lot of things that I had not dealt with, grieving my
Okay.
mother. I had a miscarriage, and all in the process I was competing in an international pageant. And so at that point I had decided, I'm tired. I was exhausted, and I had decided
Hmm.
that I wanted to go ahead and take matters into my own hands. And so I had I had overdosed, basically. And I remember one of
Okay.
my very good friends called me, and she came and she sat with me, basically for the day, and we kind of just got through the motions, to make sure that I was okay. And I remember at the end of that, I was like, in 2 weeks, I have to complete in this pageant, basically. And so at that point, I said, I'll put this on hold, and
Hmm.
I'll basically mask myself so that I can go and complete this task that I said I would do. And so that's what I did. I completed the task and made the plan that 2 weeks after competing, I would finish out my personal plan. So,
Wow. So here you are, you're at like one of the highest points of your career, you know, and then you're still plotting this suicide plan, correct? Where did
yes,
the initial
yes.
Where did the initial pain begin? Because that was your third attempt, right?
Um, that was not my third attempt. That was actually the sixth time that I
Oh,
had tried to take my life, and the last. And so, um, yeah, it was a very um, it was a very different experience for me. I guess I would say it was not the sixth time was the last time once I came back from the pageant, basically. Um,
okay,
and that was the last time because there was actually another attempt after competition.
okay, okay. The another attempt after the competition, why was that your last and what did you do?
So when considering the fact that I had several attempts prior to this, I made a different type of plan. I had previously done cutting. I had done pills. And so
Okay,
this time I decided that I was going to do a more drastic attempt on my life because I kept failing at this plan of taking my life. And so I thought that I had a um, to say a lock clad plan that it was going to
okay,
happen. No one could stop it. And so by the grace of God, which is our title, was the only thing that could have stopped it this time. And my plan, I actually went away to do this so that my family and my children would not find me because I knew that
okay.
that would be too much. Um, I went somewhere where I thought that the person that was going to find me could handle it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so my best friend at the time, he had experience in doing that. He was an EMT. He'd been in the military. I just felt like if he found me, that he would be able to handle it. Um, so
Okay,
I went. We had a wonderful evening. We went out. We did the best of, I guess to say the least. When we say living our best life, because I knew
okay,
tomorrow it would be over. The next morning, knowing with my intents of what I was going to do, I got a phone call right before everything
mm-hmm.
laid out, ready to go. I got a phone call from my pastor. I had not told anyone I was going out of town. I had not told anyone I was going on this trip really. Um, and so she asked me where I was, like, where are you? What are you doing? Um, I picked you up in my spirit and I need to know what's going on. And so I was like, I was honest with her at that time. So I told her,
Wow.
I'm not, I'm not in a good position. I'm not doing well. So she asked where the friend was. And through intervention of her and other loved ones and my friend, they got me back home. And at that point, I actually went in to do a 72-hour hold. I allowed them to commit me. And at that point, I decided while I was there, I remember them telling me, listen, um, if you are going to continue on this with this journey that you're on of this self destruction, I remember
Mm-hmm.
my son's godparents, which was my pastor, saying, "We're going to take him, and we're not going to give him back because he doesn't deserve to continue to be on this roller coaster." And my son was 2 at the time.
And
Um,
what year was this
and,
again?
this was at the end of 2014. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So, like, yeah, 2014. So he was just a baby, you know, when
okay,
this process was going on, and he didn't know any better. My older daughter, at the time, watched me spiral through my through all of my
wow,
depression, through my anxiety. And I pay homage to her. I have a tattoo that says she gave me a reason to live, and it's actually the semicolon, which is a sign of life's not through with me yet, and it has her signature on it. So, um, with that being said, my children basically they gave me that, and my son served that purpose at that particular time to make me make a decision that there was a purpose for me. And it wasn't just my children, but there was a purpose for me to continue on And so at that time, I decided to really apply the help that was offered to me. I did my hold, which is a 72-hour hold. And at that time, I committed to doing intensive in outpatient because I wanted to see my children every day. So I did 6 weeks of outpatient therapy. And then after that, I did, uh, along with the outpatient therapy, I also did weekly therapy with my therapist twice a week. And then I also did a program after that, which was, um, I believe it was 20 weeks of intensive outpatient group therapy. And at that point, I
Okay.
continued on with my individual therapy. And so the difference with that time and the times previous is I truly decided that um, I'm not going to continue to run myself ragged through this situation. And I wanted to find reasons to live and reasons to fulfill purpose. And so I applied what I was getting. I'll use the tools that was given to me for the first time.
Tanil, you are so brave, and I just thank you. I thank you for sharing your story with us and just being so open um, with your journey. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
You told you told me a bit more about when the pressure started building because the pressure started building early in your life. So tell me a little bit about your childhood.
So my childhood was probably, like I said, it wasn't very easy. However, I'm thankful because every piece, every intricate issue or circumstance is what was added to me to make me the woman I am today. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I when people say how you grow up, it's kind of from, I would definitely say that it was a broken home. In some senses, what society would say. My parents were never married. They did
Okay.
not like each other, um, and
Okay. Okay.
they had their own issues. They had their own issues. But what I tell people in retrospect is that I know my parents did the best that they knew how to, and I
Mm-hmm.
also know that they love me very, very much. And so if they probably had an opportunity to take away some of the things that were inflicted upon me, I believe that they would have wanted to, but it was out of their control because they didn't have their own control of life in that moment. Um, Due to like neglect and abuse and just things that were going on. I mean, my first attempt was at 10, and that was the first time I actually went to the hospital as well. And I tell people all the time is that was the first time I learned that um, therapy was an option because, I truly believe not just in the African American community, but normally within lower economic communities, we really do not address the importance of stabilizing people's mental health. We just kind of look over to say, oh, that's just my crazy auntie, or they just got issues, or don't pay them no mind, or, you know, we have all those negative stereotypical things that we say. But that was the
Mm-hmm.
first time I realized you have an opportunity to talk to people about your feelings. There are ways to be able to do, whether people do meditation, whether they journal. And that's one of the things that I learned at a very young age is I have journals from the time that I was 13, that I've kept, that I just
Okay.
journaled. And who knows what I was writing about, but when I go back, I can definitely look back on things that were going on and how I was thinking and actually see how much I've been able to mature and my thoughts have changed. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, I know you have a very uh, loving relationship or loving mindset about your dad, but at the same time, you took on some of his issues. Tell me about that.
So, yeah, I love my daddy. By far, he is my um I basically will tell people, regardless of the things that transpire with my daddy, I love him very dearly, and nothing could separate us at all. Um, it's kind of funny because since I was a little girl, he always would say, "Who do you love?" And I'll be like, "My daddy," and he's like,
Oh,
who do I love?" And I'll be like, "You love me." Biologically, I am both my mom and my dad's only biological child. I do
okay.
have some siblings. I have siblings with my dad because my dad was married to my stepmom. stepmom are with her since I was 2, and then
Mhm.
I also have my foster or adopt sister and brother as well. So
Mhm.
in that with my father, I have seen him on a roller coaster with his addiction like all my life. Until previously about 4 years ago, um, he just said, "Hey, I want to be sober," and he did it. I don't know anybody stronger. They say that there are certain addictions that people will never be able to overcome, but he did
Mhm.
it, and I'm just so proud of him and the things that he did. But in that, we are like oil and oil and water. We don't really mix all the
Okay.
time, but we both um, are learning to be more patient with each other, and understand that regardless of our differences, the one thing that remains, the commonality between us is love. And so with that, I'm gonna stand by him until there's no option to do so. So,
So I
yep,
think the audience is sensing your love and sensing your affection and lifting you up and your courageousness because you've been very courageous.
thank,
And I appreciate that about
thank you.
you. So when your dad is going through all of this, all of his drug addiction, and if I'm not, if I didn't misunderstand our previous conversation, you had another family that also adopted you or brought you in as like a foster child. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So,
And
yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I just wanted you to tell us about that dynamic and how that worked.
Oh, so, I always tell people foster care system is not something that is just like cut and paste. Like it's gonna just that's how it works. And so for me, um, biologically, I had my mom and my dad growing up. A lot of family members took care of me. There was a village that surrounded me from birth, whether it was my aunts and my uncles, they were there. Uh,
Mhm.
when I was around the age of 10, um, 9 or 10, I would start spending a lot of time with my mom's boss's family, and they just
Mhm.
kind of saw that my mom was struggling, and they just took a liking to me. I volunteered with my foster mom at that time. I spent a lot of time there at my mom's job, and eventually, when it became too overwhelming for my mom to have me, they said they would take me in. And at that point in time, they were able to take me in and take care of me and love on
Mhm.
me. And it was just a phenomenal situation because I always tell people I feel like I have the best of both worlds. I have the
Mhm.
best of both worlds. When I say that with my upbringing, um, I've seen things in the streets because of my biological parents, whether it was their
Okay.
addictions or the choices they were making. And then with my foster parents, I seen educated black family, mother, father, husband, wife, sister, brother, college educated, understanding that education is, I got an understanding for me where I made a personal goal that my education would not be finished until I had letters behind my name, which is a PhD. And so, regardless how long it takes, it's something you got to keep doing. I'm still doing that. But I just
Okay.
see the best of both worlds. The one thing that was common, and I always, this commonality in my life is love. They loved me just like my parents loved me. And so I lived with them until right before ninth grade. And ninth grade, the judge kind of decided to give me back to my mother. And so
Mhm.
I did a year in a residential treatment center they thought would be a transition for me and my mom to get rebond, do therapy together, and just kind of talk about the things because she was sober. So it was the first time in this um, length of time where she had completely been successful in her sobriety. And I have to admit that at that point, she never relapsed after that.
Okay.
So she was a completely different person. So we had to learn each other. We weren't very successful at being together. We did learn each other, but I got emancipated right before my 17th birthday. And the thing about it is, I had all my parents regardless, whether I was emancipated. my foster care. There was that, and the other thing that was always a commonality for me, other than love, was church. And
Okay.
I can account that to my faith, not just church, because I learned at a very early age that, it was God that was covering me through all the struggles and trials and tribulations. And so, whether I was in foster care, residential, on my own, I always went to church. It was always in my case plan, even for me to go to church. And so, with that being said, faith and love, they definitely carried me through, which, equals us to the fact that there was grace. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That is wonderful. Tell us about a traumatic event that kind of left you scarred, which led you to being depressed.
Well, there's lots.
Yes.
There was lots of situations. I believe that, you know, we don't when we don't address the issue trauma, when trauma is
Hmm.
unaddressed, I believe it. I mean, it's factual that it leads to depression and anxiety. And so for me,
Okay.
being that I was immersed in so much trauma at such a young age, and I really didn't deal
Hmm.
with it, I
Hmm.
basically created a habit of not dealing with my trauma. And so as life continued to go on, whether it was broken relationships, whether it was the abuse that I endured as a child, whether it was the abandonment issues, dealing with rejection, because never been a skinny girl. So dealing with, people saying things like, "Oh, you're cute for a big girl," or, just dealing with the fact that I went to church and my parents never attended with me ever. So, most kids are
Okay.
forced to go to church um, by their grandma or their mom or their dad. And I am like, I just want to be here because it's my consistent. That was my consistency. And so there was just tons of things, but I never dealt with the trauma. And so um, things that would make me spiral would be broken relationships. I'm 45. I've been married 5 times. Those things would spiral because I tell people all the time, we can be in love with a person, but I think that for me, my vice, my addiction with love is that I was always addicted to being in love, addicted to hoping and praying that I would have the perfect life or family.
Hmm.
So whether we talk about as a little girl, most little girls say, I want a husband and 2 kids and a dog and a picket fence.
Hmm.
I was just like, yeah, that's what I want. And so, um, unfortunately, when you're in the state of mind that I was at, I was in survival mode for so long.
Okay.
So, that goes along with my birthdays. Like people, when you get ready to celebrate your birthday, you're normally talking about like, "Ooh, I can't wait until I turn 13." You have those monumental birthdays, or 16, and I was like, I can't believe I'm still here. Like I didn't plan on being
Oh,
here.
wow.
I didn't plan on being here at 13. I don't know what to do on my 18th birthday because I wasn't supposed to be here. I had planned on leaving when I was 16 or 17. And so
Hmm.
that continued on that mind frame until literally late into my last attempt, which is past in my late 30s, where I was finally realizing that I needed to start planning on what I was going to do in my future rather than planning on my demise.
Wow. Now, you said two important things when you were answering that question. You said you had some trauma because of abuse. Was it physical abuse or was it emotional abuse? What did that look like?
Um, I had severe physical abuse growing up, emotional, a lot of neglect. There was you know, and for me, I really um, I don't even pay energy to what really happened. And one reason being why is in the midst of telling my story, the more important thing for me is legacy. And I hope and pray that everything that I do um, is paying homage or legacy to my mother, who is no longer
Hmm.
with me. And so uh, I told my mother for many, many years before she passed that I respect her not because she was my mother, but I respected her so much more for the life changes she made and
Hmm.
the legacy that she left. and the way that she was able to, in her sober state of mind, be able to give back to the community, to be the best grandmother in the world to my daughter, uh, to just mentor tons of college students at her church. She just was a different woman. So in that, being that's the case, I don't really um, I don't really talk about all of that in detail much, because I don't want to diminish who she became. Yeah,
Okay.
and my
So,
dad too. So it was both my father and my mother. So even in that with my father, we've come to that bridge where we've had those conversations, those like come to Jesus conversations about the abuse and neglect, and to make sure that there isn't any like backlash on the past, because that's what it is, the past. We've moved past it.
mhm,
Um, I just try not to, because I don't want them to feel bad about it, because it was out of their control
I
due to
got it.
addiction.
And is that still is it still a tender spot for you, or have you come full circle and healed from it?
You know what? I feel like for me, I've come full circle with it. Like I love my parents. I like literally like don't have any issues. My mom passed in 2011, and I tell people this every day because I mean something like makes my skin crawl when I see someone not have respect for their mother. And I say
Mhm,
that because I don't care what you've endured with them. I don't, no matter what's happened, you only have one. I'm
mhm,
fortunate to say that I had three, but I only have one birth mother. So even in that,
mhm,
you have to figure out a way to forgive them, and not for them, but for yourself. And so I'm very
mhm,
thankful we had that opportunity before my mom got sick, before it was, we're just talking about this because she was ill, and I tell
mhm.
people that every day, you do not know when you won't have that opportunity to deal with those situations. And so I definitely have come full circle, and with having my father still here presently, I tell him every
Mhm.
day, I get mad at you not because of the past. I get mad at you about what you did yesterday. I get mad
Oh.
at you because you didn't do what I asked you to do last week. It's definitely nothing harbored about when I was 10 or 12 or 15. And
Mhm,
so, yeah,
mhm.
I know that I've come full circle with that. I'm not, when she left this earth and when he leaves this earth, I want them to know that there is no unforgiveness with anything that ever transpired between us, um, during those seasons.
Okay. That is so beautiful, and it's very forgiving of you. But beyond forgiving, it sounds like you have reconciled the situation. You know, um, you can forgive someone, but you don't have to have a relationship with them. And what you did was you decided to have a relationship with those people. So that's wonderful.
That's definitely true. I tell people that when it comes to forgiveness, you can choose to forgive or not, but ultimately it's going to be a burden that you carry if you don't do it. And I definitely realized very early on I wanted my parents in my life. Regardless, I mean, that was the first opportunity that I learned about unconditional love, was loving them through whether it was the abuse, the addictions, the neglected, whatever it was. Being able to love them continuously through those situations, um, was extremely important to me. I'm not gonna say it was easy, and I'm not gonna say we didn't have tons of arguments, um, but to me it was necessary. And so you choose if you want someone in or out of your life, and I've had it both ways. I've had opportunities or situations rather, where I forgave somebody, but I said I have no place for you in my life.
Okay.
When it comes to like alcoholism and addiction, I will tell anyone I have a relationship with that I can't choose my mom and dad. So those two people, I had to deal with those things. But there's not another person on this earth that I will endure
Wow.
dealing with addictions,
Mhm.
because I don't have to. So I can forgive you, I can move past those relationships, but more than likely, if you are dealing with those things, those are things for me that are triggers that I'm gonna have to cut you off and love you from a distance.
Okay. Okay. So you've already drawn that boundary. So let's move on
Yes,
to,
definitely.
I
Definitely.
got
So
it.
if I have friends, there's yep.
Now, you've had 5 marriages. You're going for the crown with Liz Taylor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, I'm not. I really I'm not. No, not at
There's
all. Um,
there's nothing wrong with
I
loving love.
I tell people, like some people aren't transparent. There's nothing wrong with loving love, but I can say at this place in life, I know that I was not the difference between, now and then
Okay.
is I wasn't mentally stable
Okay.
to make the decision to get married or to um and I definitely realized in that I didn't need to stay married because I had made a hasty decision. One of the things that I think that I really deal with is I'm not just spontaneous, I am like um rapid fire
Okay.
when
Okay.
it comes to that. And so um when I was not stable, or people talk about manic situations. I didn't collect all the information that was necessary. I didn't wait things out, and unfortunately, my head because of it, learned lessons because of it. The difference is, I think that now when it comes to evaluating relationships, um, I'm stable. And I'm like, I know what I want, I know my worth, and I'm not going to settle. So if we're not going to go down this list, we're not correcting these things, then I'm not gonna do it, because I only got one life to live, and I want to be able to live my life, um, not just satisfying, to myself, but I always tell, like, an example with my children. I tell them, it's one thing for a parent to say, I'm gonna do everything in my power to give you what you need. My desire for them is I want to be able to give you everything you need and a little bit of what you want. If I can't give you all of what you want, if I got it, I'm gonna give it to you. And so that's what kind of love I need, um, for myself in regards to relationship wise.
So, are you single now?
Yeah.
Are you single
It
now?
depends on how you add
Oh my
it so it
gosh.
so it
It's
depends on
complicated.
how you want to. It's complicated. It's complicated. There are
I got it.
legal
So,
ramifications that
okay,
um
wait.
but
So
I'm
what I should
working on
ask,
it.
are you dating? Are you dateable now? Are you dateable now?
You know what? I don't think that that's necessary right now. I think I have conversations with people. I have conversations with people, but that's probably as far as it goes, because, like I said, you know, um, I have to respect the fact that you don't start something without finishing something, and I've learned that from my previous
Okay.
situations. And so at this finished situation, business, I'm working on it. Don't have clarity in that yet.
Okay. Okay. So, you're not quite
Yeah,
ready to
I
take
don't have
on
clarity in it.
Mr. Right. You're not quite ready to take on Mr. Right, but you are keeping an eye open for Mr. Right. Okay. So sorry, fellas. She's just browsing. She's not buying. That's okay. That's
Whoo,
okay.
Lord.
So you're working on some really neat stuff. Tell us what you have going on right now.
Ah. So one of the things, like I said earlier, that is definitely my therapy is writing. I love to write. Whether it is poetry, whether it is telling you guys my story, whether it is giving you guys motivational moments, because like Coach said, I also am known as Queen T, and I do motivational moments daily, pretty much throughout the week. Drive time with Queen T on my Facebook right now. And I just like to talk to people more than anything. I'm talking to myself, but I like to give that information to kind of help other people as well. Hopefully, they can use it. I just finished and completed my entry into the She's the Ish book collaboration. It's an annual book collaboration that women come together internationally and talk of a topic that's chosen. This year, the topic was empowering women, or women that are empowering to others. And so, if you want to know more about me, you definitely want to get that book. It should be out in July. I'm also in the process of finishing writing my book, and working, being a mom, uh, finishing school. I'm doing my second master's in marriage, family, and couples counseling. I think I need to get those accreditations to go along with the life experience that I got. And I'm just, right now it's summer. I'm trying to get a suntan. You know,
Okay, well, that
that's
sounds
that's
wonderful.
the main goal for summer.
There, make
Yeah.
over summer. I heard it was going to be hot girl summer. That's what I heard. But never mind. Never mind on that one. If you if you were going to get my
Yeah,
goodness.
about that.
Yeah, about that. If you were
About
going to
that.
give if you were going to give someone advice who was
Hmm.
feeling, really brokenhearted, because it sounds like you've moved on and you're whole now, but you've definitely
Hmm.
been brokenhearted and you know what it's like to be at your wits' end. What would you say to them?
You know,
You
um,
know,
what I want to say is, a broken heart is definitely is something you can't really just put a band-aid on. It's something you really have to mend and take care of it. Uh, Denial is probably one of the biggest issues that we have that keeps our heart broken. Not being able to address the issues that have happened. A lot of times, I can say personally, I didn't take enough time to heal from a situation. A lot of times we say, nothing better than getting over a broken heart than getting with something new. And that definitely is not the case. You need to take time for yourself and self care. And more than anything, you uh, are not able to completely love another person until you completely can love yourself. So, and that means all
wow.
your little fat rolls and your wrinkles and short hair, long hair days, with a tan, without a tan. You got to love all that.
So what would you tell somebody?
So,
How does someone get self-acceptance? How does one get that?
so I have been talking this. You said it's a hot girl summer. Um, Talking about that. So I've been. A lot of people have approached me lately, because it's hot outside, and I
Okay.
personally, when it's hot outside, I don't like wearing garments. A lot of them. Okay, and
Okay.
people are like, I wish I could be like you, and I'm like, you can. Just put it on and walk out the house. But I have told, they're like, well, how do you do that? How do you handle when people are looking and staring at you? I said, you know what? The one thing that I must have that you don't have is confidence. Confidence is
Okay.
the ultimate ingredient to being able to pull off any and everything. And in
Okay.
having confidence, it eliminates you worrying about what everybody thinks about you.
Okay.
So, yep,
So you know what? Do it afraid, do it scared, but just do it.
just do it. And when
Just
you
do
walk
it.
in the room, make sure you walk in that room like, I know when I put this together, when I'm doing this task, I was all, gun ho about it. I was so for sure. Make sure that's what you present to others. They don't know. It's just like when you're giving a speech. If you wrote the speech, they don't know you messed up. They didn't write it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always tell people nobody can do you better than you. So be the
Mm-hmm.
best you can be at all times. And if you fail, if you mess up, nobody knows, because nobody knows who you're supposed to be but you.
That's right. You want to know something? I just decided that you've got to create your own cool. It's as simple as that. Create
That is
your
so true.
own cool.
Hmm.
You know,
Um, One thing I was saying with that too is, I get it with being approached. People are like, "Why are you got to do so much and you're so extra?" And I told a friend the other day, I said, "My basic is their extra, and that's
there
okay."
you go. There you
You know,
go.
um,
Absolutely.
they couldn't handle my extra, so I'm gonna just give them a little bit, and that's gonna be, you know. But I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be happy with being me. And so if I want to wear a coordinated outfit from head to toe, that's what I'm gonna do, because that's who I am.
That is amazing. Well, listen, this has been a wonderful conversation and amazing insight to my Kermit and Friends family. Thank you also for tuning in. They're wondering if Love is my actual last name. Love is because I love you. So you can always call me Coach Love. That is why I'm
Yeah.
called Coach Love. So I appreciate you. And Tenille is called Queen T because she is the commander of her queendom. How about that?
Yeah. I better know it. I
There
better
you
know it.
go. Awesome. Well, we
I got some
appreciate
other
you.
aliases.
Oh, yeah. What are they?
I
What
got
else?
some other aliases. Like when I'm on the stage and I'm doing my poetry, my name is Tenacity. So
Oh,
everyone knows me as yeah, my name is Tenacity. I've been Tenacity for um 25 years. I've been Tenacity on the
wow.
stage. And so people know me by that name. Queen T is new. And that name came from the fact of when I started doing all my pageants, I was
Uh-huh.
like, um rather than giving my title, I would say I'm Queen T. Nice to meet you all. And that was the way of doing that. Working in education with youth, I always go by T. So I'm either Coach T, Miss T, or Queen T. And that way is the commonality. No matter what, people are always going to know me in wherever I go. And so that's why I've always gone with that. Um, at one point in time on stage, I was Gospel Baby, but I, I I forgot that I was Gospel Baby one day, and I said some stuff that I wasn't supposed to say, so we had to put her to
Uh-oh.
rest. Um,
Oh my goodness.
we,
Oh my goodness. You know
you
what?
know,
Well, I can say this. I'm definitely digging your tenacity because you had
thank you,
tenacity throughout your life. I think that's very fitting.
thank
And you
you,
know I love you as Queen T.
thank you.
I
I love me
appreciate
some
you.
Coach too. Mm-hmm.
Aw, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I appreciate you sharing your story with us. Please do come back when your book comes out. We want to gather more insight about your story because I can tell you there is much more to her story, but she wants you to get her book so that you can read the details. Okay?
Yes,
We'll see
yes.
you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.
Bye.